Well, it'd hardly be a podcast if we didn't tell you what you're going to hear if you decide to continue to listen to this thing beginning to end. But this episode is the intro. It's the reintroduction of the podcaster. This is an intro to an intro, which you don't really need. So let's fucking do this thing. Hello, Earth. I'm Matthew East. This is Off Topic, and this is episode 0 of the return of me as a podcaster. I call it episode 0 because I've already recorded the first episode, the second episode of what's coming. But I feel like there's an introduction that's missing. The first episode, which you're going to listen to not long after we get this one up and running, is called Self-Fulfilling Prophecy. It's deep. It's philosophical. It's maybe a little controversial. Actually, to some, it's going to be definitely, absolutely, positively controversial. This is something that I just needed to do.
Like a poop after that first morning cup of coffee.
Because I was having trouble pulling the trigger of just putting episode 1, Self-Fulfilling Prophecy, out there, cold.
Less like a poop, which as far as science can prove, still comes out warm and steamy.
When you listen to it, it's going to feel cold anyway. It's going to be hello. It's going to talk about how long I've been away from this. It's going to talk about a lot of things. It's going to introduce this set to you, my new office, all kinds of stuff that I'm not going to do now. But because of the controversy, because of the touchiness of a couple of the subjects, I have been, I don't know, I've been like hesitant to put it out there.
This and those tasteful nudes we've still got from that explorative phase.
So this is hello, and we're going to talk about some of that. But before I lose any of you potentially new listeners with a bunch of mumbo jumbo, too many words, I want to answer this question for you. Why listen to me? Well, I'm going to tell you why I'm the person that might have the ideas that you might find interesting, that you might find funny, that might make you think. Here's a little bit about myself, okay? I've been shot at by a missile in combat. I've won poker tournaments in Las Vegas. I have been framed for crimes I didn't commit. I've been a wilderness survival instructor. I've been arrested. Back of a cop car, arrested. Yeah. I play the drums. I built this shed. Not bad. What do you think? I've owned a luxury day spa. Yeah, owned, operated, headaches galore. Not an experience I'd trade for anything in the world, though. I've led men's ministry at a church. Wouldn't trade those guys for anything in the world, but I'd trade the experience. I've survived a wild Mustang stampede, like on the ground in the sagebrush in Nevada. No shit. I am an airline pilot. I've been a landlord and I've been evicted. I've done the master cleanse 3 times, including right now, which is one of the reasons we're doing this right now. Look up the master cleanse, by the way. Super challenging, super mental, physical, arduous, rewarding.
Or don't look it up and live it with us right here as soon as we don't fucking die trying to endure it.
Get into that a little more in a little bit too. I was featured as a comedian podcaster on my local news. Hi, Margaret. Margaret Burnquist, news anchor. Met her and got a few minutes of exposure on the telly back before I got back to work.
And willingly, at the time, traded budding notoriety for this view.
Interesting timing there. We'll get into that sometime at some point, I believe, as well. Moving on, I'm an Eagle Scout. I've been to Oktoberfest in Germany. I've sang karaoke in Japan. Never forget the song. Every time I hear it, I think of the time I sang it for karaoke. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. I promise you that was better than whatever came out of my mouth that night. I was swallowing the mic. Good times. I smoke this pipe. Old school, baby. Don't worry, work. It's regular old tobacco. And yes, this might make me seem old, but the catch is I've been smoking it since I was 25. Why? I'll tell you about it sometime. I run 4 times. I'm sorry, I run many, many times. But I run twice a week 4 miles. I lift too, but that seems kind of braggartly, prideful, whatever you want to say. Running's a little bit more rhythmic. I grill over charcoal very, very well. Fuck it, let's be prideful, right? I've lost 2 cops to avoid speeding tickets, traffic tickets. 2 for 2, never been caught. Don't recommend trying. 2 times I tried, I made it work though. Risk jail to avoid $100, I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time. I can hold my breath for over 3 minutes. I've driven over 150 miles per hour in public. Not running from the cops. Neither story is related to the other. They are standalone. All these stories are standalone. I am the father of 2 amazing college kids who like me. That's the real win. Anybody can be a father. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes accidental. Now, that list was put together in about 20 minutes. Okay? It's a potpourri of the background of a life that I think has been fairly well lived. Has it been all success? Hell no. There have been some crazy failures. I lost my pilot wings when I was in the Air Force. I'm divorced. I'm not proud of either one of those 2 things, but I am proud of the process of recovery that I went through after both of those events. It's been a wild life, an extreme life.
Everything's relative, right? Sorry, Red Bull. Sorry, extreme Red Bull athletes. Sorry also to bungee jumpers, skydivers, suicide attempters, and swingers. All of whom have this irrefutably beat.
When I was in high school, we used to break into Richmond Beach, Shoreline, Washington, north of Seattle, and build illegal driftwood beach fires and hang out into the night, you know. Buddy of mine would always bring this book. It's called the Book of Questions. And the question that stands out to me, the only one I actually remember to this day, because I talk about it a lot, my favorite one of all is this. It's a talk starter, right? Kind of a book. So everybody kind of has to answer. But here's the one. If you could avoid all of the lowest of lows in life, all of the pain, all of the suffering that life tends to bring, but it was at the sacrifice of not getting to experience the highest of highs, would you take that middle road? Would you take the one that just ebbs and flows near the center to avoid that pain at the expense of that euphoria? Or would you go for it? Give me it all at the top, understanding that I'm going to feel everything at the bottom as well. Well, I remember that night very vividly, boldly saying, I will take the pain so that I can have the euphoria. I will claim the euphoria and risk the pain 100% all the time. Well, I was 16 years old. I don't know, 16, 17. Had to be that old. We had to drive to Richmond Beach. About 3 times, whatever-ish, that age now. Nothing's changed. It's still my answer. Back then, I'd never had a low. It's pretty easy to pick that when you've never had a low. Well, I've been there now, you know. I've done both, and I wouldn't trade any of it. I look around me and I see vanilla. And I know not everybody's living that way. Most of you, some of you, hopefully, are trying to find the spice of life.
And for you youngsters, it's not heroin.
Trying to figure it out in a way that invigorates, that energizes, that convicts, that learns, that teaches.
Hell, maybe it is heroin.
Pride, accomplishment.
No, probably not heroin.
All of those things. But I see a lot of phone scrolling. I see a lot of couch sitting. I see a lot of things that trouble me as the days and years and stuff go by. And I'm proud to say that I think I relate really, really well with younger generations. My kids can give you their opinions on that if they ever get that opportunity. I interact regularly with guys and girls a lot younger than me, both in my job and in my private life, and it's fun, you know? But those experiences, all of those things that I listed at the beginning, every one of those is real. None of them are like, oh, he, squeezed it, worded it uniquely, and it's not that big a deal. They're all a big deal. And so when we launched this off topic kind of part two, if you will, Hot Shots reference, it's from a place of great experience. God, wisdom sounds like such an old word, but what is wisdom? There's knowledge, there's intelligence, there's being smart. But wisdom is this combination of experience and knowledge, mistakes. I've got a life philosophy. It's no regrets. No regrets? Are you serious? I will tell you at some point about the only regret I have in my life. That is not for today either. But apart from one subject, one thing in my life that I regret how I handled, everything else is no regrets. And the reason is this: you can make mistakes and not regret them if you learn from them. If you take what you've been through and you apply it to your life and it makes you a better person. It doesn't mean that those things are good in any way. It doesn't mean that even that people didn't get hurt, but it's the learning. It's the process of becoming a more whole, a more complete person through your mistakes. And then, of course, if the decisions that are good turn into successes, who's going to regret those? No regrets is not that hard. All you have to do is understand the good in the things that are going on, even if the mistakes were significant. But if I can live a life of no regrets, and I can take all of these experiences, all these different things that I've done, from being in men's ministry at a church, to losing cops to avoid tickets, to, being arrested, to being a comedian, to being a drummer, to being a moderate carpenter, to being a physical experiencer of things, the danger. My life, the fact that I'm sitting here healthy, is its own miracle. I was shot at by a missile flying over a combat zone in the Middle East when I was in the Air Force. That could have been different, if that in fractions of seconds, reactions and things. And then, as it turned out, that night we were back at the hotel drinking a beer. But what if? If you can look at your life and you can see moments like that, maybe not as poignant, or maybe so, but if you can see them and you can be like, man, my heart's beating. I'm living. I talked about the Master Cleanse. I've done it twice. It's ironic. I was thinking about it today. The Master Cleanse is a crazy body cleanse. It requires extreme discipline. It's highly unpleasant. There are a lot of benefits to it, and I'm actually going to be doing an episode day by day as I go through this cleanse in the next 14 days, documenting what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, how I come out the other side. It's going to be a lot of fun. That part, not the doing it part, but I'm getting ready to do it. I did it the first time in 2011, and I swore I would never do it again. But by 2016, I owned my day spa, and I was in a season where I was working and going home every night. It was extremely busy, but I wanted it again. It was 5 years later. At the end of that 2-week Master Cleanse, I swore that I would never do it again as well. And this time it took me 10 years to get back to it. So 2011, 2016, 2026. And I'm doing it again. And I'm motivated. And I'm nervous. And I'm hesitant. But today, I got into my car and I drove out and I got to Whole Foods and I found the grade B maple syrup. And I bought a shit ton of lemons. And I've got the cayenne pepper and the lemon juice squeezer and the 1/10 of a teaspoon measuring for the cayenne, and I've got the laxative tease and everything else that's going to go into it. We'll talk more about the Master Cleanse a different day. There's a lot of questionable advice about whether or not it's even good for you. But let's talk about that for a second. When you've lived a life, when you've experienced a spectrum of things, you can lean on those experiences and you can maybe take other people's opinions and process them, but you're processing them through a lens of experience. I can look at what I read about this thing that some doctors say is great and other doctors say is dangerous. And I can say, yeah, but I've done it twice. And I know what it does for me. I know the physiological reset that I feel, the energy, the life, the cleanness of an internally flushed human body, this flesh and bone that we live in, that we only have for so long, that it is ours to steward. I've been very fortunate. I don't have any crazy diseases or struggly type things that I've had to deal with physiologically. I have a very healthy, fit body, but I'm more fit now than I was 10 years ago.
Attention, attention to this public service announcement. Understanding the next description of the passage and unpassage and lapse over and craziness regarding time may require a flux capacitor.
And I feel younger now than I physically was 10 years ago, and even then feeling older than I was, feeling younger now, and having this whole overlapping age, energy, youthfulness thing going on in my life.
Great Scott!
It's spectacular. And from this place, on the same evening before I launch my third master cleanse, I am finally motivated to get this on to tape.
We mostly just have sticky kinds of tape nowadays, recordings being digital. Yeah, well, fuck it.
To you to introduce off topic as it begins anew, afresh. I do encourage you to go listen to the episodes that were recorded a few years back when I did this whole thing the first time. Couple similarities. I got the goatee. I can't have that very often. There's a reason I have it now, but I had it then. And the reason was the same, is because I was not flying airplanes. This is not allowed when you're flying airplanes because the oxygen mask has to suck. It has to seal to your face if you should have a depressurization. So you can't have the facial hair. Why we can't make a mask that's better than that, I don't know. But that's at least the origins of that rule. So I got this going on. I got the candle. I got some of the same equipment.
And he's got me.
And these things are going to bridge the gap, because as we progress, this goatee is going to go away again. I hope. Other things are new and fresh. This studio that we're going to talk about in the next episode is going to be the new place. The topics are going to be fresh and new. And one of the things that's been frustrating lately for me, Earthlings, is I have had things I want to talk about so often lately, and I've thought, God, if I only had the podcast up and running. So now we're getting it up and running right now. And this is going to introduce the future. Topics that are coming from the lens of all the different filters and experiences that I have previously relayed to you. The self-fulfilling prophecy episode. I want to talk about that for a minute. To my friends and family, listen, please, to everything in that episode. Don't take some of the higher level surface stuff and forget the lower level, deeper stuff that supports the things, because you don't have to worry about me. The deeper stuff is important and it's there. This stuff is going to jump out at you. Pay attention to the little things. Pay attention to what I'm saying underneath and what I really mean, please. I'm asking you to do that, because if you don't, you're going to be like, ah! The next one after self-fulfilling prophecy is 5,000 days. This is a concept that's becoming a book. So I'm going to introduce the macro-micro approach to appreciating life. 5,000 macro, days micro. How do you take these and put them into this in a way that every day matters on a long-term, big-term picture scale? The thoughts and ideas that are going into this book are from the lens of experience that I've had over a great deal of time, and from the inputs that I have from the younger generation, things that people who are half my age are teaching me. So it's a conglomeration of all of that stuff getting put together into something that I think is going to be valuable for you no matter where you are in your life. I've got topics coming up called the end of yourself. Some of you think you know where that is. Have you been pushed out there? Have you been pushed beyond? Have you done anything like what I'm about to do with the Master Cleanse, where by the third day of 14, I'm going to be going a little crazy with hunger and maybe some emotional stuff and some physiological stuff? Have you gone beyond? What you realize when you go beyond is that you get to where you think you can't go anymore. And then if you keep going, step after step, sometimes like the metaphor of a hiking trail. I used to lead men's hikes as part of my men's ministry stuff at the church. Sometimes step by step is all you can do. The left foot comes next and then the right foot. But before you know it, you've done a few hundred more of those than you thought you could. And now you're at a plateau and you've got a view of a valley and a river and maybe a sunset. But you thought your limit was down there. The end of yourself is an incredible concept that we're going to dig into in one of these episodes coming up. I got one called Safety is Killing Us. That one's going to be interesting to talk about, and it's going to piss some of you off, and it's going to excite the hell out of others. Safety is killing us. We're going to talk about that. Diversity, the good and the bad in diversity. What division, divisive, all of those divs come around and mean. How some of them can be really good. Some of them diversion, all the different ones can be bad or good, and why the ideas come from culture. And if we can think of them from a neutral place, we can maybe look at them in a completely new way. Strengths and weaknesses is another subject we're going to talk about. How to understand your strengths and develop why it's important not to just live where you're strong or where you're comfortable. Why you go after the things that you suck at. Why that's good for you. A lot of things to go about there. I got a topic coming up that just popped into my head the other day because I was thinking about it watching a show on television. We'll get into the specifics later. There is a TV show host, female host, who to me is uber attractive. And I was thinking about why. And the subject that we're going to talk about in an episode is what is sexy. That's going to be fun. I'm going to promise you I'm going to offend some people. I don't care. That's what's going to be great about this whole thing as well. But Earthlings, I am back. And before we get into pushing toward episode 1, remember I said this is episode 0. The only other thing that we're going to say is we have another podcast as well. Now, Off Topic is going to be it here for a little bit because Odd Man In, first podcast I ever created, does require a listening audience and guests and call-ins and thoughts and things like that. Odd Man In is about success stories out of the middle of nothing, from nowhere. Unexpected breakthrough. Not in the lives of celebrities, but in the lives of common human beings. You out there who had dreams, have dreams. Work, effort, energy, attitude. No reason to believe that the dream is anywhere in sight. And then boom, something that could never have been imagined happens. And there's a door that's open that you didn't even know existed.
Possibly like heroin? Second thought, youth. Truth is, maybe you'd be better off listening to something else.
That's Odd Man In. I've got great stories from my own personal life to introduce that podcast. Again, go listen to the first 3 episodes from a couple years ago there when we did it all. And then come back to these current ones, listen to Off Topic, and get ready for Odd Man In. Earthlings, with that said, it is time to rock and roll. This is my introduction. There's not much else to say except buckle your seatbelts. We are here. We are not going anywhere. We're going to get through topics that are philosophical. We're going to get through topics that are funny. We're going to get through topics that are controversial. And it's going to be great. There's going to be sports. There's going to be health. There's going to be philosophy. There's going to be religion. There's going to be race. Religion and race are both in the self-fulfilling prophecy episode coming up next. Listen to that one, folks. It's going to be, I hope it's going to be great. I honestly do. I'm really proud of the episode. Like I said, it's done. I just want the people that I love to know that if you will listen to what I truly have to say, you'll understand what I'm saying and you'll be right there with me. I'm Matthew East. This is Off Topic. I'm looking forward to a fantastic month, year, decade. It's hard to figure out. I just drew a blank, but what it is a fantastic future. This is a launch pad. This is a beginning point. We're going to start doing this master cleanse in the morning. We're going to do weight. We're going to do attitude. We're going to do feelings, everything that's going on. Get through it together. And that's going to be an episode that'll come up a few down the road. But for right now, I want to thank you guys for being here, for listening, for hearing this introduction, and for getting ready.
Cheese and rice. Cut him off. I want to go home.
All right, Earthlings, thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you made it this far, why not take it a step further and give me a quick subscribe? I'm going to show you energy, diversity. We're going to make you smile and laugh and think in this rebirth of Off Topic. You can reach out if you've got ideas for the podcast at eastofftopic@gmail.com, or you can call and leave a message at 864-432-3379. Take a screenshot, write it down, replay it, whatever you got to do. But reach out. I'd love to hear from you. This is Matthew East signing off, and we'll see you next time.